Okay, this will be the second video of Tiger Stripe mini bike that I built, and I pretty much got it completed. You can see I have the brake cables ran, the throttle cable ran, all the fenders and stuff is on. The tires, as far as the tires, I probably need to replace the front tire since it's aged and got weather cracks in it, and I plan on putting couple of cups of slime in there and air them up pretty good and let them get all good and sealed up. I found that's a good trick to do on go-karts and stuff, is slime the heck out of them tires and then fill them up tight and run them around the yard a time or two, and it really helps them out. I got some really neat tricks I did with this one. I put this together on a tight budget because I'm unemployed and basically all I got to spend is time. And the paint is, some of it's Rust-Oleum and the other stuff is Ace Hardware's Rust Stop. After using both of them, I'm leaning towards the Ace Rust Stop as being a really good high quality paint. The black that you can see on there is the Rust Stop, and it's got a very high gloss ratio to it, which I really like. And the orange is basically a safety paint. Now I come up with a scheme just out of the blue. It's not that, and I got to thinking about this after I got it done, that, you know, it looks like the Bengal Tiger football team, and I never really thought about that. And I thought, man, it kind of does look like that, but there's no reference to the NFL or anything on that. But on the web I ordered up some fenders, and these actually are not the right size fenders, but I have a lot of coverage, and that's the thing about a fender. The fender is to keep the goo and the crap from slinging on you and on the device or the mini bike, and so that's where I went extra big on it. On the front, I devised a mount out of aluminum angle iron. And you can see how I trimmed it to fit around the shock posts and stuff right there. And I used quarter 20 screws with lock nuts, and there's fender washers on the inside. And on the back side of the fenders, you can see I painted it the Rust Stop black on the back side. These were not plated, and I wanted them not to rust. I used a lock nut on the back side here to help hold them in place, and if you grab it, it doesn't move. And that's the thing about fenders, you don't want them to move, because if this part gets loose and gets into this, it'll all bundle up, and I've had that happen before, and that's why I mounted it so rigid. I kind of did the color scheme on the mount to kind of blend it all in. When I was putting it together, what I should have done is put this mount on the back side to hide it and let the beauty of the fender come through a little bit more. But hindsight didn't work out, and I already had my holes drilled, so I went with it and I hit it with the paint scheme right there. Now on the back fender, it's mounted quite rigid. You can see I can push on it and it doesn't move. I got one L bracket right there, and I thought about one on both sides, but after I tested it with just one, I didn't need it. And it's hidden in place with the quarter 20 tap. I use fender bolts on the inside to spread the load out. Now if you look at it right here, it's got a little bit of an inward angle to it. It's not 90, I'd say it's probably 80 or 75 degrees bent. And all I did was put it in a vise and kind of crimp on it a little bit to bring it in like that. The one that holds to the frame is a really tiny screw with a lock nut right there. Right here is a better view of the forward mount. It's just a piece of aluminum strapping. And you see how it comes down, quarter 20 on the front, on the motor plate, and then on the back, just right there, quarter 20 with a lock nut. It's real sturdy, it's not moving, and it's not touching anything. And that's what I was wanting. Let's take a closer look at the jack shaft system. As you can see, I painted it black. These are typical what they call pillow block bearings, and you can move them around. So if you don't get your screws straight, it can still work out. This shaft can be bought at any machine shop supply and come in any length. I believe that's 11 inches, and I bought it from a machine shop. It was already cut the length, and it had the keyway cut into it. That's a 5/8 rod with a 3/16 keyway cut. I told y'all wrong but on the first video. I said it was a 1/2 inch, but I went back and I measured it, and it was 5/8. Now you notice that it's tapped with a lock nut on the end. I'll get to that here in just a little bit. What you see right in here is lock nuts, and I put multiple ones on either side to center it. It has a spring action, and it holds it in place. So these are not going to go backwards or forwards, and that's what you want. These little sprockets are cast iron. They use them in a lot of factories to run assembly lines, and you can get them in machined steel or cast iron. Cast iron's a little bit cheaper. I'm gonna experiment. This is the one out of all of them that I have that I'll be experimenting with to see if my gear ratio is right. If it isn't, I'll be going to a bigger one on this one. And I've done a lot of touch up. I've spent the last couple days touching it up, getting it all done up. It looks really, really good, and I'm real pleased with it. For a guy, it's all I got is time, like I said. And this frame, I found it, and the back wheel I got from Smart Carts and Parts. They're out of New York. Gary runs the place. He's a real nice guy. He's just a regular old guy like us that is, trying to start a business and make a life for himself. And he does good stuff and got good parts there. He's got a lot of parts you can't find hardly anywhere. So if you want to look for the parts, in fact, I got a new brake cable on the way that I messed this one up trying to get it to mount. And as you can see right here, I got a kickstand on it. This was like $7 off Smart Carts and Parts, and I used just a regular old U-bolt. And it's got a little tab right there, you can see, little tab right there that holds it in place. Now all I did was put the lock nuts on there, and I painted it, and it works great. And it's got a little spring behind it. You put the clip on it right there, and it works good. I put it in this location because it was pretty much out of the way. I should have shown on this earlier. These are pieces of angle iron held in place with U-bolts. That's how I got it in place. And it used to have foot pegs right here. Now I cut them off because it was in the way of the motor, and I just put just a regular tube with U-bolts to hold it in place up there. So that's more of the traditional style like that. And of course, in the past video you've seen how I cut the frame to allow clearance to be able to get to the gas cap right there. And I painted part of the shocks, and they really stand out good. I painted all this through here. The brake system, you can see I cut the ball end off because I was trying to get it to fit into the pin that fits here, and I never could get it to work right. So what I'm going to do next is, after I get the new one in, it's going to have the ball end, and it'll slide under this. And I might put a clip on it, I'm not sure. But and I might run a bolt nut through this, and just to lock it in place. And I'll have a spring right here to help activate it. But I used a U-bolt to hold the top part of the shoe in, and the bottom piece will come and clamp like that, and that's how my brake will work. And the cable runs out of the way of the exhaust and of the chain. That's important to do stuff like that. You can see how I got the throttle already clamped in place. I haven't clamped this because I haven't got it done yet. But I picked up a nice brake cable, or a brake caliper, from Smart Carts. And like I said, Gary's a nice guy, and he does good business. Now, to show you how I did up the jack shaft, this piece, they don't come threaded. They just come in, like I say, this 11-inch section, I believe. And so I needed to have a lock nut on that. And so I went down to my local machine shop, and you see this die? It has a hex head on it. And all I did on this is I put a throwaway key in there, and I wrapped it with a shop towel, and I put it in a vise. And I used this with a socket and wrench, or socket and ratchet, and I tapped the very end of it about an inch or so. I just wanted to go down enough to get that nut to where it the lock part, which is here, the seat. And this was an easy way. I didn't have to use a machine shop, didn't have to pay them guys, and I tapped it just like that. Now you see there's a bevel right here on this edge. I took it to the bench grinder and I put a bevel on it so this would start easier. That's another trick right there. And you can get these set up for it. Another trick, sometimes these little sprockets will move around. Wherever the grub screw is, if you take the grub screw out, set this up, and dab a little white paint on the end of the grub screw, and run it down and tap it, or touch it into the bar, and then take this all apart and drill a little bit of the hole into that. That way that grub screw goes into that little bit of hole and it locks it in place. That's another neat trick that I figured out. But this is turning out really nice. I don't have much in it. Like I said, the frame I found, got the frame, fairly, I mean, you call that cheap. And the motor was like $125, but they're on sale for $99. And I don't know how much all the other parts cost, but maybe $300 invested in that. And that's what it looks like now. My next mini bike project I'm going to work on is a chopper. And I got another frame that I'm going to modify, but I also have bought some plans off the web for some other chopper designs. Hopefully I can figure out. But there's a lot of neat tricks. You just look at them right here, and neat ideas right here. I mean, with the paint scheme I done, anybody can do up, you know, any kind of scheme. You know, NFL, your favorite NFL team, do it up like that. And I think this will be pretty neat. But haven't yet started it, haven't even gassed it up. Like I said, I gotta take care of the flat tires and the brake. The brake's real important. So gotta work on it. But the like I said, the paint really brung it out and made it look really pretty. And sure does look different. But you guys get busy, figure some things out, and get creative on your mini bike projects. Like I said, I ain't got much money in it, I just got time. And it was fun to do. So let's see what you guys can do and post them here. Later.